Hey, what's up you guys, this is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today we're going to be digging through DS78 to see what we can get, #confirmed. So this dev stream had a lot of great info on it, ranging from upcoming Syndicate weapons, a detailed look at Titania's moveset, Necros' rework, as well as a smattering of other bits and bobs. So without delay, let's get down and dirty. Now, bad news first. The War Within, which was supposed to be the last chunk of our trilogy of updates, will not be releasing in August. Instead, it's going to be a split, kind of like the Hunger Games trilogy, which was actually a quadrilogy. That's the right word for it, right? Or did I just make that up? Anyway, we're going to be seeing the Titania update in August and the final installment of the War Within sometime in September. Maybe. Don't attempt to get on the hype train before it's actually in the station. Yes, I understand that the directory said that it would be here by now, but don't stand on the fucking tracks screaming your guts out for it. Moving along to yet another thing that you should not get on the hype train for quite yet, DE has announced the new Syndicate melee weapons. The Rock the Dark Dagger from the Red Veil, the Secure Electa from the Parent Sequence, the Cyanoid Heliocore from Cephalon Suda, which was by far the most surprising selection of the bunch, the Telos Boltus from the Arbiters of Hexus, the Vacor Sidon from the Steel Meridian, and the Sancti Magistar for New Loka. Now, per usual, we chatted about it a bit further during the accompanying second stream, and there are a couple things that I need to give you a heads up on. First and foremost, these are not due to drop anytime in August, with the earliest possibly being in September or October. But don't hold your breath. DE has also confirmed that these will have stat bumps, so don't hold their current versions in-game as a measure of strength of the final Syndicate weapon. And for those of you panicking about the Cyanoid Heliocore being way too powerful, just keep in mind that historically Suda tends to give out quality of life buffs over straight up damage buffs. So quit your bitch until you actually see the stats. Now, running with that theme, both Neja and Inaros will be receiving their first Syndicate Augments. Neja will be able to cast his Warding Halo on fellow allies, and Inaros' Sandstorm will inherit elemental procs off of his melee weapons. The Syndicates apparently are also going to be building new Lunaro arenas, which thematically I think is pretty cool. However, I am mildly panicked thinking about how I'm going to deal with a goalpost that is turned to its side. That's got to be a major pain in the ass for the goalies out there. In addition, we also got to see the Arcata in a PvE environment, which at this moment does seem a bit unimpressive, but clearly it's because it hasn't been polished quite yet. So I will hold my judgments until then. Now, a couple last little bits before we move on to the big stuff. First off, it has been confirmed that Tenogen is coming to console. I'll be putting out a video on that closer to its release date. And arcanes are no longer going to require distillers in order to pop off of your cosmetics. #FashionFrameWin. Okay, now for the moment you've been waiting for, moving on to something we've been promised to see within this month, is the beautiful, majestic fairy frame herself, Titania. And I think that's how I'm gonna keep saying her name because literally I've been going back and forth with this for as long as the name has been solidified. Now, her first ability is currently referred to as Dust. From what we've seen, it's a targeted radial ability like Equinox's Rust and Rage, which leaves enemies levitated and unable to attack. The effect is very similar to what happens to enemies in Zephyr's Tornadoes, but a lot slower and less annoying. Her second ability is Soulswipe, which deals damage to all enemies in a cone and causes them to drop a buff that you and your teammates can pick up. Now, from the dev stream footage, it does not seem like you need to kill the enemy in order to get the buffs to drop. Speaking of the buffs, after chatting with DE, at this point in time, their intention for these are not to be massive game-changing effects. It also seems to me after our chat that nothing is quite yet set in stone with this. So while they do have 30 plus possible effects on paper, it may get whittled down into something more digestible by the player base. Now, her third ability, which is currently referred to as Lamplighter, and to be honest with you, I really like that name for it, is another levitation-based ability. From the footage, this is a targeted ability that levitates and illuminates an enemy unit. While in that state, the enemy is invulnerable and attracts surrounding enemies, causing them to go non-aggressive. Now, enemies aren't the only thing attracted by lamplight, but bladed butterflies also swirl around the incapacitated unit, shredding any enemies that get too close. Basically, this is Jin's fatal attraction on a stick, except substitute corrosive explosions for bladed butterflies. Last but not least is her Shrink ability, which makes her 50% harder to hit and gives her fairy pistols a fairy sword and lets her zoom around in old Arcwing mode. So no worrying about any of that 6 degrees of freedom and self-correcting stuff, just old classic Arcwing, which you know that I have always been a fan of. Now at the moment, both the blade and pistols are affected by the mods currently on your primary and melee weapon, and if it follows precedent, it will exclude any weapon-specific mods like Covert Lethality and Syndicate mods like Gilded Truth. However, I am praying that Lifestrike carries over. Honestly, I'm super excited. She seems like tons of fun, but I am curious to see exactly how viable she'll be in escalating missions if she can be a sole source of CC while debuffers and buffers do the rest of the work. In addition, I really want to see her in Arcwing because she's already got an Arcwing attached to her. Does that go away? Does it double the stack? How is that gonna work? I don't know, but we will find out soon. Now, the last thing that I want to cover is going to be the changes to Necros, which I'm actually really eager to see in game. First and foremost, Desecrate will now be a toggle, and even better, will only drain energy or health if you're using Despoil when there are corpses nearby to trigger it. Just keep in mind that they did state that the health orb drop rate is going to be slightly reduced to prevent it from being abused. Now, the other big change that is happening is that Shadows of the Dead will no longer have a duration, aka all of your shadow babies will be up until they are slain. In addition, recasting the ability will heal all of your current shadows and replace any shadows that may have gone down in battle. They've also stated that the enemy selection will be made smarter so that always select the best troops to manifest. However, keep in mind they did say that they were going to cap it at 7 shadows maximum for performance reasons, but would be increasing the health, damage, and shielding to compensate. Honestly, I can't wait to see how this all plays out and also get my hands on the next Prime Access bundle. Looking at the dates, it is not too far off since Vauban Prime Access is closing on the 9th. Well, that pretty much concludes this episode of #Confirmed. Let me know how you guys are feeling about Titania's abilities. Are you excited about the changes to Necros? And how about the upcoming primes? Because I am all kinds of excited. Regardless, thank you for watching another episode. Don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!